So this lesson is about set design and how we design the stage space for a performance. So the learning objective today is to learn how meaning is communicated through the design of set. By the end of this lesson, I should be able to explain how meaning can be communicated, identify the differences between the different types of sets, know and understand how to create a set design, and answer a 6-mark exam question relating to the set design. This lesson will be in 4 parts, and you'll be able to see which part you are on by meaning, types of set, creating a set design, and exam question. Those little labels will be in the top right hand corner of this video as we go through, so you can see exactly which part of the video we are on. When we talk about a set then, a set is something we do to prepare the stage for a performance, or is to complete the stage setting for a scene or an act. Set is everything that goes onto the stage. That includes props, furniture, any backdrops, all of that is part of the set. So the first part of this lesson then is looking at meaning, and for you to be able to explain how meaning can be communicated to an audience. As we go, you might want to look at the lesson 5 task sheet and take some notes, because there will be some things I will be saying that I've not necessarily written down. So how can we communicate meaning within a performance? So there are many different ways on a stage we can create meaning. We can create meaning through the use of lighting, through our physical acting skills, through our costume, through our props, through our vocal acting skills, through the sound, and through the set design. This lesson focuses specifically on how we create meaning through the use of set design. One thing I've not yet spoken about is semiotics. So the basic definition is semiotics means how meaning is created and communicated within drama. Now, hopefully you remembered the semiotics lesson a little bit earlier in the year when I had a picture of Gwyneth Paltrow holding her award in a pink dress, and I got you all to annotate it. I had different lights at the back where I was flashing different tints through. I think I had a red and a blue one at one point, and somebody said that it reminded them of the introduction to the app TikTok, which I thought was particularly interesting. But semiotics that's exactly what it is. It's how we can communicate meaning, how meaning is created and communicated in drama. It's a really key word for you to be getting into your exam answers. The long definition of semiotics, however, is how meaning is created and communicated through systems of signs and symbols of drama. All of the elements that make up a theatrical performance have meaning, and an audience reads or interprets them to understand the event in the performance. If you look over to the right, I have some red lighting. Red means danger. It could mean blood. I have a dagger, but actually that type of dagger, the year that was made, it's all coming through in that particular image. Then I had a picture of Dan, and specifically looking at costume here, in a Henry Lloyd beige jacket, and in fact he's got a life jacket on as well, if I wanted to go even further. So if I was going to interpret the semiotics of that particular costume choice there, it would be that he probably lives by a sailing town. He's interested in sailing. He's got a life jacket on, which indicates he's probably going to be near water. All of those things are communicating meaning to an audience. So thinking about set design, what can we communicate through our set design? So we can communicate location. Where is it set geographically? Well, we know that it's set in Hamble, but how can we show that? We know that Hamble is a affluent, probably middle class fishing town. All of that needs to come through in our set design. We could communicate the time period, that time period of 2001, 2002, 2003 coming through in our set design. The setting is the locations within the play. So we've got Dan's house, Dan's room specifically. We've got the pontoon where the boys go to fish, along with a few others. Creating mood and atmosphere. What type of mood and atmosphere do we want to create through our set design? If you think about when we went to see Woman in Black and the set design in that, how a lot of it was grey, dark colours, none of it was really bright and airy. That was helping them to create that mood and atmosphere through the set design. We can communicate the social, historical, cultural context through the set design, how affluent the area is, how well off it is, what time in history it is. All of this can come through in our set design. If you think about how Elmarsh House was shown through their set design, we talked a lot about it being a Gothic horror. The particular gobo that they used within this, although that's lighting, we still do see a set of a house. We have that Gothic feeling coming through. If you look at this set design right now from Blood Brothers, you can see many different things going on here. We have a little fence about halfway through the stage. We have a few balconies. We have brick walls, that feeling of brick, but also with various pieces of graffiti on the walls. The doors, they look dirty with those net curtains hanging there. We could probably tell that this isn't a really well-off area. It's probably an area with the kids in the middle there of a bit of social deprivation, really. And all of that is coming from this set design. Looking at another set design, this is from a play. I'm not going to tell you the title of the play just yet, but we have an idea with what's on stage. We have a set of lockers in the right back corner. We have some chairs, we have some desks, we have some actors with shirts and ties on. All of that is probably giving us an idea that this is set within a school. This is a play called Teachers. All of that is part of the set design. So moving on then to that second part then, the different types of set. And that second success criteria, which is to identify the differences between types of set. Now, I'm going to talk about three types of set style that you could choose from, although this is not limited to three. There is a lot of different language in drama, which kind of means the same thing as well. So if you're doing some research on Google or going to revision guides, that's something you need to be careful of. So the style of the set is its overall feel or look on the stage. So like I just spoke a little bit about the Blood Brothers set, like I spoke a little bit about the Woman in Black set. So there are three main types of set style: naturalistic sets, non-naturalistic sets, and a composite set. The example specifically says that you need to be able to understand the difference between a non-naturalistic set and a composite set. So, a naturalistic set. This type of set aims to create the illusion of real life for an audience. They're often very detailed, using well-researched period furniture and realistic decoration. Now, you do understand what naturalistic style in terms of performance is by now, as we covered it earlier in the year. If they were going to be doing a naturalistic play set in the Victorian era, they would have Victorian furniture, Victorian costumes. Everything about that play would highlight that era of the Victorian, making it therefore naturalistic. Everything in there. If they needed a telephone, they would have the actual telephone. If they had a staircase, they would have a real staircase. If you look at the image just below where it says naturalistic sets, you can see some of that made out in that image. Non-naturalistic set. This type of set is often very minimalistic and symbolic. If you think about teenagers, we had the rostra in a sort of upside down U shape. which was a minimalistic set. I didn't have a massive bridge. I didn't have a train track running through. All of that was minimalistic and symbolic. This set could be used for different locations. If you think again about teenagers, we had a train line, we had a park, along with a few other locations. A bedroom, I think, was another one. That's the idea of multi-locational sets. A non-naturalistic set is also used to remind the audience that they are watching a play, and the audience have to use their imagination. Imagine in teenagers when we were creating the train line and that bridge, part of that set was them believing that a train was actually coming and they were at the train station when that was happening. They had to use their imagination for that particular part. And the last type of set is called a composite set. Now, this type of set shows several locations on the stage at the same time. They can be useful for avoiding multiple scene changes, and locations are highlighted or isolated by the use of lighting. So imagine on that set that you have a bedroom, you have a garden, and you had a dining room, and they were all in a line along the length of the stage. At different moments, you might want to highlight those different areas, and this is what we would call a composite set. So your very first task. So your first task is now to complete the lesson 5 task sheet attached. Once you finish the sheet, you should watch the rest of this video, which gives you the explanation about the exam question that you have to answer today. So what to think about when creating a set design? So we're moving on to that next part of the success criteria. Know and understand how to create a set design. So set design, there are various things that we should be thinking about. What is the style of the play? The staging configuration that would suit that, a moment within the play that we would like to create our set design for, and what type of set style would be suitable. So what is the style of the play? So we know that Missing Dan Nolan is a non-naturalistic play. So there are various staging configurations that would be suitable. If it were a naturalistic play, the most suitable staging configuration would be proscenium arch. So when we're thinking about the style of the play and our set design, all of those types of questions should influence our decisions. So we know Missing Dan Nolan's non-naturalistic. A staging configuration, we could do it in the round, we could do it in proscenium arch, we could do it in traversed or thrust. Any of those staging configurations would be suitable. What type of set style would be suitable for a non-naturalistic play? Well, that would probably be the non-naturalistic set, which is minimalistic, has a multi-locational set, and is symbolic. When we think about the moment within the play, there's a few more things that we need to think about. The location of the moment. Is it located at the pontoon? Is it located in Dan's bedroom? Are we creating one set design for the whole play? Those are questions that you need to answer yourself. What mood and atmosphere do I want to create? Earlier on in this lesson, I spoke a little bit about The Woman in Black and how they created that dark, creepy, eerie mood and atmosphere. And finally, what I want to communicate to the audience. Do you want to communicate to the audience that this is possibly a pontoon where the boys are fishing off? What types of items or objects could you put on there that suggests that to the audience, that communicate that to the audience? Because it's a non-naturalistic play, which means non-naturalistic set style will be most appropriate to this, a lot of that is going to be symbolic and minimalistic. So you've actually got quite an easy job creating a set design for Missing Dan Nolan. So the next part then is to click the link at the top of the video, which I think is in a grey box, to watch the set design video. In that video, there are 2 set designs that I have drawn on my paper for you to gain an idea of how to create a set design. When you create this set design, there are some things that you should be labeling on there. Number one is identify the stage and configuration. Stage right and stage left, really important to write on there. Where the audience are located, that is a big one. You will lose marks for not doing that. Any details that you want the examiner to know, for example, such as the moment that you have designed the set for, any raised sections of the stage, props or furniture, character placement, and of course the style of the sets you've chosen, whether that's naturalistic, non-naturalistic, or a composite set. The exam question. So you now need to open up the second document, which is lesson 5 exam question. And this is about how to answer the 6-mark exam question relating to the set design. Again, I would like to see you breaking down that question using LIP, location, instruction, performance, so I can really understand that you know what you're talking about. This is the question. In the box below, draw an annotated sketch showing the set design at an important moment in the performance text you have studied. Give 3 reasons to justify your design. So it's got 3 bullet points. It's a 6-mark question, which means it's 3 marks for your actual set design, 3 marks for your justification. So now you've answered the exam question and you filled in the first sheet, we've come to the end of this week's lesson. Just to recap, you had a learning objective, which was to learn how meaning is communicated through the design of set. By the end of this lesson, I should be able to explain how meaning can be communicated, identify the differences between the different types of set, know and understand how to create a set design, and answer a 6-mark exam question relating to the set design. We spoke about meaning at the very beginning when I gave you some information of how meaning can be communicated in general in a performance, but then I also spoke specifically what type of meaning could be communicated in a set design, and I also spoke about that word semiotics. Identify the differences between the types of set. We spoke about a naturalistic set, non-naturalistic set, and a composite set. Know and understand how to create a set design. Hopefully you watched the second video, which showed you what to include and how to draw it when you are doing that. And finally, answering a 6-mark exam question relating to the set design. Before you completely finish, you have one final task. Your very final task is that attached to the homework there is a quiz, and this is part of the review learning within the cycle, and it's really important that I understand your knowledge over these last couple of lessons. So there's not many questions in there, about 10 to 15 questions that I would like you to answer, and it will give me an understanding of what you're remembering over the last couple of weeks. You should ideally do this without your notes.